Today I'm going to take you through the top 5 pieces of DJ gear from 2018. Hi guys, Katie here out at the beautiful Thomann headquarters in Germany. So let's get started. First up today, I'm going to show you the Rane 12 controller. This is a Serato compatible DJ controller. You've got your 33 and 45 RPM choices. They also included the on-off switch here, which if you like to do the analog style turntable wind downs, you can also do that on these. Don't get confused, this is not actually the master power, so if you turn that off, the machine will still be operational. The difference here is that you've got a segmented touchpad at the top here, which is really cool. If you don't have a controller that has the performance pads on it, you can actually use these instead, and it's a good alternative. This one has 2 options. So the first one with the white lights, you can scrub back and forth through your tracks. The Q mode, you can control all your hot cues, and you can also put a hot cue in any space you like and come back to them later. The hot cues will actually be saved in your track when you take it away and turn the machine off, so it won't lose all that metadata information. So these controllers are actually pretty much the same usability as a 1200. They feel really similar. You've got all of your same functionality. If you're going to scratch, they've got a really nice torque. You can change the torque at the front here. I think there's 5 kilograms, just like your normal. There's very little latency. I can't actually hear any latency when I do that. And the audio time coding is actually really nice as well and really smooth. Okay, so now let's move on to the other gear. And we're back. That was easy. I wish it was that easy in real life. So next up, we're going to take a quick look at the Denon SM5000M media player. This is a really cool alternative to the standard Pioneer CDJ 2000s, which are in most clubs that you'll find. It has a very similar look and feel to those machines with a few really interesting differences. The 2 that I really like are the motorized control platter here with a piece of 7-inch control vinyl. And the other thing that I find really interesting is its dual layer. So you can actually play 2 tracks at the same time on the one player and have them input into 2 separate channels. In general, it works pretty much like your regular CDJ. Start stops here and the cue like normal. You've got the pitch slider here, and it actually goes all the way from plus or minus 4% up to 100%. Which I think is overkill, but you know, there's always someone out there who's probably going to like that feature. On to one of my favorite features of this machine, which is the motorized control jog wheel. I've actually seen the motorized wheel appear in another controller in the S4. So I guess it's something that's making an appearance elsewhere, which kind of makes sense if you're trying to bridge that gap between the analog and the digital world. This control surface feels really similar to a piece of vinyl. It's got very little latency. The time stretch algorithm is really nice. Something that I have found really interesting is this slicer function. It actually slices each beat for you, so you can actually do some chopping on the fly. So if you actually know where there's some interesting stuff on your track, you don't have to have already put a hot cue in place previously. So there's not much more to say other than it's a really fun piece of equipment to use, and I think a really excellent alternative to the CDJ 2000s. So next up, we've got the FF4.2R mixer, R for rotary, from Formula Sound and Function One. This is not your average bedroom DJ/hobbyist mixer. It is definitely at the top end of the market. Its aim actually is to be one of the best analog signal path kind of professional DJ mixers out there. So definitely not for someone who's interested in doing stuff at home. There is a fader version of this. So for those of you who prefer the faders, maybe battle DJs, etc., you can get that version. There are no effects on here other than the high and low pass filters, which is like the Zone. Unlike the Zone, however, they are located on each channel, which I find much better personally, because on the Zone you have to assign each channel to the high and low pass filters, and I have so often left them on accidentally. This way you can't get confused as to which is on and off. The other thing I really like about the setup of these filters is that the dials are actually, they're not symmetrical like in the Zone. They're actually like on and off as to where the filtering would be, so you do know if they're on or off. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, it's just made it a bit more idiot proof, and I really like that they've done that in this version. The EQs are also full isolation, which means if you have each one of them down to 0, there'll be no signal getting through. That's a personal taste. I personally like to be able to have a bit more control over whether they're full isolation or not, but hey, if they are a full isolation, you just don't take them down to 0. Real easy fix. So next up we have the Traktor Kontrol S2 Mark III, which is a great entry-level controller for those who like to DJ in their bedrooms or house parties or something like that. It's really super light and really portable and quite simple in the way that it's built. It is a standard setup and looks fairly similar to what you might find in a nightclub with 2 CDJs and a mixer in the middle. They have the cue and play buttons on the side there. They don't have a tracking back and forth, which I've always had an issue with Traktor, because I'm always accidentally dropping cue points in the middle of a track, and I don't know a really easy way to get back to the beginning other than just to hit that back button. If anyone knows a better way, please let me know in the comments. I'm sure there is. But I haven't found it. So the jog wheels actually feel really nice. They're quite heavy. They don't feel like light and plasticky like some controllers do. They have a pressure sensor on the top, so you can actually stop and scratch with them. Something I did notice, which is totally random general knowledge, is that these are actually heat sensitive like your iPhone. So if you were to touch them with, say, some inanimate object like a phone or something, they actually won't stop. So you've just got to be careful if you're going to wipe your hand across the top there, because they will stop. And you can also browse through your Traktor library up here really easily, so you don't have to be going back and forward to your computer. You've got different effects here. You know, you can choose between, I like the color control so you know where you're at. The faders, the up and down faders here are actually really quite stiff. In contrast, the crossfader is very light, which you will need if you're a battle DJ and you like to do that, use the crossfader for scratching, etc. All right, so overall, I think this is one of the best entry-level controllers out there. It's got a really nice look and feel for the price, and it's also close enough to like a standard club setup, so that if you do get the opportunity to go from the bedroom into a nightclub, you actually won't feel too lost. So in a slight contrast to the FF 4.2, we have the t.mix 402 USB mixer by Thomann. It has these bright, shiny silver knobs and faders. It's got the brightest volume meter in the history of mixers in bright blue. It also has this cool little feature where you can record directly to USB. You can also play music directly from USB connection, I believe from a computer or external USB drive here, which is actually another cool feature. It comes close to being like a mixer and a controller in one, but obviously you can't control the pitch of the music, so it's more for potentially someone who needs a backing vocal track or some other audio in a band at the same time. Anyway, great little mixer for the price. And that was it for the top 5 bestsellers for 2018. If you've got any comments or questions, don't forget to make a comment and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And hey, have a great new year. Thanks, guys.